Hello, and welcome back to part 17 of modeling a Mustang in Fusion 360. In the last episode, we were starting to work on the bumper, and that is the main focus of this episode. So I was hoping to use the sweep tool here for multiple profiles and a path, which is what are the entities I've created. But a sweep tool is not for that. I don't even know why I was thinking that. I think it was just late in the day when I was creating this. That's what a loft tool is for, and we'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, this peculiar shape that I'm trying to create, it just confused me a bit. But yeah, just a reminder: sweep tool is for single profiles. So by using the standard sweep tool, admittedly, I'm not matching the other profile, but it is going in the right direction. So I click OK, and I reach a shape that it's not exactly what I wanted, but at the moment in time, I believed it was good enough, which is why I continued on my hopeless trajectory, destination failure. But if you'd have noticed closely, the sweep ends on an angle, like the bumper in the center is angled. That's due to the sketch profile not being perpendicular to the path, and the path not being perpendicular to the right sketch plane, if that makes any sense. So I hid the other sketch, which is the CAD equivalent of burying my head in the sand. By adjusting the position of the first sketch, I'm trying to take the bumper further from the main body, because it was cutting quite deeply into it. But if you notice, how it kind of still intersects the car. So now I have that shape, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how to do the corner. I know that the bumper curves round, and I need to think what's the most practical solution to this. So after a bit of thinking, I think I can definitely see my brain has slowed down at this point in the video. So yeah, checking the sides, because I know it curves around to the side. So what I need to do is create a plane. So I need to create an offset plane from the one parallel with the front face of the car, or perpendicular to the sketch planes we've been creating the bumper with. And the reason why that is because I want to do a kind of similar shape, but on the side of the car, so it's at 90 degrees. So yeah, I'm creating a plane to link the bumper around the car. You'll see what I mean, like, in a sec. So next, I'm sketching a profile, and this profile is to meet up with the bumper that we've already created. The bit of the bumper we've already created. So there we go. This is just a pure estimation. Like I didn't use any canvases there, but so yeah, I just figure I want a shape that will look all right when it curves round. So pretty quick profile. I try rotating it. I think I could have resketched it if I wasn't happy with it. I don't know why I've opted to rotate it there, but it's this part I was a bit smarter than what I'd done with the other parts of the bumper. So I'm looking at the sweep tool and the loft tool. What I actually opted for is the extrude tool. I'll explain to that now. So instead of bridging the gap between the bumper, first I want to create the tip of the bumper, where the bumper ends. And I can do that by selecting the profile of the sketch I've just selected and dragging it out. I think I decide on 20 millimeters. And then what I can do is I can fillet that edge to give it a curved tip. Now I know I'm not looking at the image canvas, but I know that the real car would have one. So yeah, fillet in the end of the bumper. Obviously the real bumper on the Mustang doesn't have a flat spot, a flat edge, so I'm not using canvases here. The front bumper is a detail that, at least in my cab model, isn't intention to be the center of attention, so I'm not too fussed about accuracy, like even more so than usual with this bumper. So now I'm using the loft function, and you can select you can select two profiles like I've done, and it will bridge the gap. And I should have used it earlier instead of the sweep function, because the loft function works between two or more profiles. You can loft between multiple sketch profiles or two faces on separate bodies, which is what I'm doing here, which those two faces there on the separate bodies. But I don't believe you can loft between a sketch and a body. This may be wrong, but I have had problems trying it in the past. But I decided against using the loft function initially, because without guides, the joint is straight, like when I first tried to loft it, and I want something more fluid. So I create a sketch from the top down, and I'm not fussed about I'm not fussed that it's perfectly level with the bumper. It's actually higher than the bumper, this sketch. But by sketching from the top plane and creating a simple fit point spline, I can then loft the two profiles with a guide or center line in the case that I'm about to show you, and you'll see what it does. So that's how it was before. Then when you add the center line, there we go. Now it's got a nice curved edge. It's not rigid, it's fluid. It looks a lot better. And that looks a lot better. Now, I will say there is a fatal flaw that I missed earlier. Not just earlier watching this back, I did see it watching it back, but I didn't notice at the time of modelling. So when I initially created the bumper, I selected the join tool, connecting it to the car, effectively making the car and the bumper, the front part of the bumper, one body. I should have selected the new body tool. So when I try and mirror it, I'm creating overlapping geometry, which is why you'll see the problems that I'm about to face. Also, if you notice here, the gap isn't far enough, and that's because the path on that I created initially for the sweep that we created, that front section of the bumper, wasn't it didn't extend beyond halfway. So now I'm going to go back in, edit that sketch. So first I want to remove the coincident constraint so I can move the point. So click that and delete it. I drag it, and then I want to drag it across. So now I know that it's gonna the bumper is gonna stretch over halfway, so it mirrors. It'll be a whole body, but I want the bumper to join in the middle. So what I do here is I just draw a box. Get to it. So I want to create a sketch on that top plane, and I draw a box that's supposed to line up with halfway. and I'm going to use that to extrude cut through the bumper so it's split down the middle. But I will say, although I do that, don't draw box to cut apart in the center. Use the split body tool, select the appropriate plane and remove the unwanted body. It makes for a neater model by splitting the body rather than doing this, and there's also a lot less chance for things to go wrong by doing it like that. So there, I cut through, and now I want to mirror it because I assume that it's in the halfway point, which it approximately is. It isn't right because I didn't constrain it correctly, but that's not the problem. And you'll see the problem in a second. You might be able to notice some zigzag lines on that body. That's never a good sign. That usually tells you have something wrong with your model. So select the bodies, then select the mirror plane. Looks alright, and there. This is kind of the beginning of the errors with the bumper that I alluded to in the last episode. They continue well into next episode, coming back to it. I think the problem was the overlap in geometry that I'd created earlier has kind of come back to haunt me. And yeah, I'm not pleased by this at all. I remember at the time being so frustrated and so kind of course this is going to happen. Like, of course this happens now when I'm so close to finishing kind of attitude. And to be honest, if I'd used the loft feature instead of the sweep feature, I wouldn't have encountered this problem earlier. So yeah, not happy about that. Now, in my kind of way to troubleshoot, I want to figure out what's going wrong. So I think about cutting. And then I have a look at the bodies, and this is what I'd missed when I was making it. See how the front bumper disappears with the car as well? That's because it's joined, and I didn't notice that when I was modelling at the time. But yeah, you can see the bumper's joined to it. That's part of the reason why the bumper wasn't working. That's not the reason why it didn't mirror properly, but when it mirrored, it would have mirrored the whole car as well. So yeah, don't do that. So then I try it again after selecting the features in the actual feature tree. This time it works. And that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Bye.